Hello NRI friends, welcome back. This is Sushit from SBNRI India, your Indian friend. In today's video, we will be discussing about overstaying issues in India for the financial year 2021. We have SBNRI expert CA Mohit Gopwani with us. Hi Mohit.
Hi Sushil,
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
It's really good to have you here, Mohit, with us. So Mohit, today we are going to discuss a very important topic which came actually from most of our SBNRI users who have been asking about the issues that they will face and they are facing due to the overstay in India for the financial year 2021. So Mohit, the first question that comes is related to the determination of residential status of an NRI. How exactly it is being determined here?
So, generally, the rule that applies in all years is that if an individual stays in India for 182 days or more, then he qualifies as a resident of India. There are other provisions as well under Section 6 of the Income Tax Act, wherein even if an individual has spent only 60 days in India, there might be a situation where even after spending just 60 days in India, he might qualify as a resident of India. However, in case of NRIs specifically who have been working outside India and who had come to India on a visit and were stuck here because of the pandemic, only the 182-day rule will apply. So, the 60-day rule will not be applicable, and if an individual has stayed in India for more than 182 days, then he will qualify as a resident of India.
So it is pretty simplified. If it is below 182 days, then it is calculated as a non-resident.
Right.
Or if it is more than that, then it will be counted as a resident.
Right. Right.
So now jumping on to the second question, our people, our NRIs, they were willing to understand that is there any relaxation given to them, especially for the financial year 2021, on the determination of residential status?
So, the government had come out with a circular wherein it has specifically said that for financial year 2021, there will be no relaxation as such in determination of residential status. If you remember, for financial year 1920, the government had given a relaxation wherein the last 10 days of the financial year, that is from 22nd March 2020 to 31st March 2020, would not be counted when considering the number of days that an individual has spent in India. However, for financial year 2021, the government has specifically mentioned in the circular that there will be no relaxation. So, all number of days that the individual was in India will be counted to consider the 182-day rule.
So, Mohit, there was a relaxation given for the year 1920, but nothing as such for 2021.
Yes, right.
Coming on to my third question, Mohit, don't you think that we were in a pandemic stage and no one was expecting it? So, don't you think that the government should have given some relaxation to the NRIs, especially when it comes to the determination of their residential status?
So, when the government came out with the circular, they had specifically mentioned the reason why they cannot give any relaxation with respect to determination of residential status. So, consider a situation where the government does not consider the number of days an individual has spent in India in counting the number of days that he has actually spent in India. However, since the individual was physically present in India, he might not qualify as a resident of some other country. At the same time, if he does not also qualify as a resident of India, then it might lead to cases of no residency at all, where an individual might not qualify a resident of any country. So the government specifically wanted to avoid such situations, and that is why the government has not given any relaxation. However, the other effect of this is that an individual might qualify as a dual resident of two countries. So, since the individual was physically present in India, he might qualify as a resident of India, but at the same time, since his job was located in some other country, he might qualify as a resident of that country as well. So, this will give rise to cases of dual residency where an individual will qualify as a resident of both India and the country where his job was located. However, there are specific provisions available in DTAA where the tiebreaker rule is available, and the NRI can refer to the tiebreaker rule to understand which country's resident he will qualify as.
So there was a conflict, and because of that, only government decided not to make any changes or give any relaxation to NRIs on this.
Right.
Mohit, my fourth question to you is with reference to the above topic. What are the different provisions that we have, that the NRIs have, especially for this DTAA?
So the DTAA is an exclusive agreement between two countries. So if you are an NRI, in all probability, India would be having a DTAA with your country where your job is located. However, each DTA is separate, and the provisions and the relaxations that are available in the DTAA will vary from country to country. However, generally, clause 4 of the DTAA covers the rule of residency, wherein if an individual qualifies as a resident of two countries, the tiebreaker rule is available. As per the tiebreaker rule, there are certain tests which have to be conducted. Some of these are like where the individual's permanent home is situated, or with which country the individual's economic interests are more closely related. On the basis of these tests, the individual will be able to determine which country's resident he qualifies as, and automatically he will qualify as a non-resident of the other country.
So, friends, it looks like this is not an easy thing, and this is not something which we were prepared for. So, definitely, you will be having a lot of doubts in the determination of your residential status as well as for DTAA. So, it is suggested that you better take suggestions and opinion from a taxation expert. For any doubts related to this, you can reach out to CA Mohit Gopwani or me. You can simply drop a message, WhatsApp message on the below number. Mohit, this is not the end. We have our fifth point to cover, fifth question. That comes to those Indians who were staying here in India, but they were having their job in foreign and they were getting paid in their foreign account. So what will be the tax implications, and in which country the NRI are supposed to pay taxes?
Right. So this is a case of genuine hardship for the NRIs because they were physically present in India, but they were receiving the salary outside India, and their employer was also located outside India. Now, if we look at the Indian domestic law without considering the DTAA for the time being, as per the domestic Indian law, if an individual was physically present in India, then it will be assumed that he has provided the employment services in India. If it is deemed that he has provided employment services in India, then the salary income will be liable to tax in India for the number of days that he was present in India. However, in most of the DTAAs, short stays are generally exempted. So, if an NRI comes in India for 60 days or for 80 days or for 50 days and works out of India, such short stays are generally exempted in most of the DTAAs. However, we'll have to take a closer look depending on the country, but these are generally exempted. However, if an individual stays in India for more than 183 days, then that short stay exemption is removed. Then his salary becomes taxable in India for the number of days that he was physically present in India. So there might be situations where an individual, even though he qualifies as a non-resident on the basis of tiebreaker rule, he might still have to pay taxes on his salary income in India for the number of days that he has spent in India.
So Mohit, in that case, if an NRI who stayed for 300 days in India during this financial year, so he will be liable to pay taxes against the salary he was receiving, and he has to pay that taxes in India.
Yes, as per the Indian domestic law, but there are certain reliefs available in the DTAA. Also, we'll have to take a look at the domestic laws of the country where the job was located. But DTAA generally has exemptions wherein if an income becomes taxable in both countries, then the individual will be able to claim a tax credit in India.
Thank you, Mohit. I hope you already have given us all the clarity about this topic, which was really important for our audience. I hope, guys, you have a very clear idea now what to do, how to do on this. For any doubts, you can reach us out. If you really liked our video, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Just the way we are trying to help you, don't forget to help them also. They may need it. Thanks a lot.